Last week we talked about the dangers of drowsy driving, and it was almost akin to impaired driving, or it is an impaired driving, a type of impaired driving. But then we think about ride-sharing services and taxis, where a lot of those drivers, just to make a living, are working 12 and 15-hour days.
And there's a lot of benefits of having an app like Uber. You know, you're running basically your own kind of a self-employment service where you can kind of turn it on and turn it off as you please. And they've been testing this in London, where after so many hours of driving, they're forcing you to take a certain amount of time off so that you can rest, because that is really important. As a rider, I don't want to be jumping into someone's car when I know that they've been driving for 12 plus hours on the road.
Would you jump into a car knowing your driver has been drinking?
Right.
You probably would not. So this is just as bad as drinking, and that is driving tired.
Yeah, so these tests were quite successful in cities like London, and it is now official to the U.S., where Uber drivers will require, Uber will require drivers to take a 6-hour break after driving 12 hours or so on the app, and it'll literally prevent them from logging into the app until they do take that timeout period, and then they can go back in and resume.
And I know this is the way some people make their living, but still, it may be something we need to consider for the taxi industry as well.
Yeah, and you wonder, how much time before something like this comes to Toronto and Canada. But something that's very important, it would almost make sense to have some sort of a counter show up when your driver comes. Like, would that be a good idea? Where you could see that your driver's been on shift for 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we have this with truck drivers. Some will fudge the logs a little bit sometimes, but still, by law, truck drivers are only allowed to be on the road for so long before they have to take a rest. So.
Definitely a step in the right direction.
Another ride-sharing service coming to Toronto?
It's a car-sharing service, and it's brought to you by General Motors. It's called Maven, and they've picked Toronto as the first major Canadian city, and it offers rides, you can almost rent cars for $9 an hour, includes gas and insurance, and of course you get to pick from their fleet of General Motors cars, so Cadillac and those. So you'll be able to access all of the features from in-car Wi-Fi to CarPlay, Android Auto, and it really gives car-sharing services like Car2Go and Zipcar a run for their money, and definitely a big move by a car manufacturer like General Motors. If you can bring millennials in to use cars like that, it may increase chances of them buying a car down the road.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, obviously GM is doing this for a good reason, not just, to help out the environment, but I mean, it's a good chance to show off their vehicles. They already lend vehicles out now to people who are contemplating buying, so why not get the little Chevy Volts out there and et cetera, and get them out on the road?
Yeah, and it's not just General Motors doing this. Ford also looking closely at a car-sharing service, so it's something that all the manufacturers have their eye on, and definitely the way of the future, car sharing.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go upstairs. Here's Melanie.